And work on your.
County Board. Get it start by having the clerk call the roll.
Carroll,
Here.
Miller, Brewer,
Here.
Kramer, McKee,
Here.
Engel,
Here.
Hendricks,
Here.
Manning,
Here.
Gill,
Here.
Glassburner, Harwick, Woodhouse,
Here.
Turk,
Here.
Cosgrove,
Here.
Frank, here, Severson,
Present.
Williamson,
Here.
Cooey, Fleming,
Here.
Brookins,
Here.
and McGuire. You have 17 present.
Do we have Pastor present for the invocation tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm Pastor Diana. I think people of Allen join me. Holy One, come before you tonight to discuss important matters. We ask for your guidance and wisdom. Help us to approach this meeting with a humble heart, open to hearing and learning from one another. Let your spirit guide our discussions so that we may come to decisions that are not just based on our own understanding, but also on your wisdom and guidance. We thank you for the reminder to remain humble and seek unity in all that we do. May this meeting be a reflection of your love, grace, and humility. In your precious name we say,
Thank you. Clerk, lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Five on our agenda, was the meeting properly noticed and were in compliance with open meetings law?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the meeting.
Very good. We have before us a 27-point agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'd move that.
Motion by Brewer, second by Cosgrove to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Right. Item 7, approval of the minutes of the November 19th, 2024 meeting. Anybody, after reviewing them, have any comments, corrections, questions on the minutes of the last county board session? Hearing none, I'll declare those to be approved as presented. Item 8, public comment. Do we have any members of the public that wish to address the county board tonight? Anybody in the room or online? Hearing none, we will move on to item 9, appointment to various boards, committees, and commissions. We have several vacancies on committees that we want to take action to fill. The committee on committees met at 6 tonight. Forwarded some recommendations. We have a vacancy on our executive and finance committee, and Supervisor Woodhouse's name was forwarded as a candidate for that. We have a vacancy on our public works committee. We had suggested someone. That person was not able to fulfill the commitment. So do we have someone anybody would like to bring forward as a county supervisor member of the public works committee? Someone who'd like to volunteer?
I can do it, I guess.
Supervisor Severson volunteers. Do we have any other those interested? Carrie, thank you. That on the list. We have a vacancy in the local emergency planning committee, and Supervisor Engel, our newest supervisor, was brought as the name for that. There's a vacancy on the Veterans Service Commission, and Supervisor Kramer was brought forward for that. A vacancy on the Campus Reconfiguration Committee, Supervisor Manning tabbed for that slot. Richland County gets to appoint a representative to Prosperity Southwest, and Supervisor Engel is the one we'd like to appoint to that. And also like to appoint Larry to the Simons Recreation Complex Board. We have a vacant seat for the county on that board. And then the last commission appointment is a vacancy on the Southwest Regional Planning Commission representing Richland County, and Supervisor Gill was brought forth for that. Any questions or discussions on those nominees? Otherwise, we'd be looking for a motion to make those appointments. Motion by Supervisor Manning, second by Julie Fleming. All those in favor of these appointments, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much.
Was it?
Yes.
Advisory.
Yes, that, I knew there was one, so. We have an appointment to the a new Nutrition Advisory Council member. This works with the Richland County Senior Nutrition Program within the ADRC. And the recommendation is to appoint Vicki McCauley to this committee, replacing Georgette White as the Rockbridge representative. The previous person holding that has resigned from her position. So I would look for a motion to appoint Vicki McCauley to the Nutrition Advisory Council.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Cosgrove, second by Fleming. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that appointment say aye. Anyone opposed? Very good.
Mr. Chair, just one note that this would be backdated to November 1st.
November 1st, okay. All right. Is there any other appointments we need to make? Well, I see the next item on the agenda, of course, but
That's
yes, not a committee or a commission, but item 10 on our agenda, appointment of a county treasurer. I will let Attorney Wendell give us the situation here.
So for those unfamiliar with the works of Douglas Adams, the legislature has contemplated this weird scenario wherein in the present day, there exists a vacancy in an office that shall exist in the future. The long and short of it is we have received a declination from the former treasurer, won the election. So he's declined to take the office. And so the Richland County Treasurer 2025 office is currently vacant. And therefore, rather than waiting until sometime in the future to appoint someone to that role, we figured we could have the conversation about either reappointing the current acting treasurer or the other options that were discussed. But it is possible at this time to appoint for that vacancy despite it actually occurring in the future.
Everybody follow the logic.
There isn't logic, but that works in our favor for once.
We have an ability to take care of a problem before it happens. Yes. We have an active Richland County treasurer now. If someone else was elected, then that means we need to appoint or reappoint, as your pleasure is. So we'd be looking for anybody who wants to make a motion in this regard. Mr. Gill?
We have a motion to appoint our interim treasurer as the current treasurer.
Reappoint the person currently serving.
Yeah.
And Mr. Manning, you're seconding? All right, discussion.
I would like to have her name made. No,
That's Ashley Mott, right?
Yep.
Yes. I'm not always good with names. I want to be sure.
Like the applesauce.
Any further discussion?
Just to clarify, this is for the upcoming 2025 term that would start the first.
The only vacancy.
I know, just, okay, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
She's currently serving as treasurer because we appointed her before. When we had a vacancy. There will be a vacancy again on January 6th when the new people who were elected were sworn in, and our person who was elected is not taking the office, so we will be reappointing her on that date to continue serving. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. Right. We are down to zoning stuff. Item 11, ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Eugene and Isla Higginston in the town of Dayton.
This will be ordinance number 24-32, amendment number 614 to the Richland County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinances. That the following describe 83.08 acre parcel belonging to Wild Hills. I went on.
Yep.
The papers got shuffled around, so bear with me. Here we go. All right, number 11, 24-31, amendment number 613 to Richland County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinances. that the following described 21.05 acre parcel belonging to Eugene W. Higginson Jr. and Isla L. Higginson in the town of Orion is hereby rezoned from Ag Forestry to Ag Residential District. You have the legal description there. This ordinance shall be effective on passage and publication. It was offered to you by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on November 25 of 2024.
Is it Orion or Dayton?
Yeah.
The typo there too. Dayton.
It is Dayton. Okay, it's up Dayton on the agenda, so.
Yeah, should be Dayton, right? Okay.
Okay. All right, so you've heard the ordinance. Do we have a motion?
Williamson move.
Motion by Williamson, second by Brewer. Any discussion on this?
Basically, it was a parcel. It doesn't meet it was zoned ag forestry, but it doesn't meet the 35 acre parcel size.
Okay. Just cleaning up the zone. All right, any questions? Otherwise, all in favor of the rezoning, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Adopted that ordinance. Now we're on to an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Wild Hills Real Estate, Aaron Halverson in the town of Orion.
This will be ordinance number 24-32, amendment number 614 to the Richland County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinances. The following described 83.08 acre parcel belonging to Wild Hills Real Estate LLC in the town of Orion is hereby rezoned from Ag Forestry and Ag Residential to Commercial District. You have the legal description for those parcels before you. This ordinance shall be effective on passage and publication. It's being offered to you once again by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on November 25 of 24.
Okay, for the resolution, do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Brookins. Any discussion?
Basically, that's the Wild Hills Winery, and they want to continue doing more expansion of some of the business out there, not in the near future. And so, Cody Commercial will allow them to do what they wanted to do out there.
Any questions? I'm sorry?
Increases tax revenue too. I don't know.
All those in favor of this rezoning, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Ordinance is adopted. Item 13, a resolution approving the town of Ithaca's rezoning of a parcel belonging to Benjamin and Ariane Leskos.
This would be resolution number 24-94, approving the town of Ithaca's rezoning of a parcel belonging to Benjamin and Ariane Leskos. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that in accordance with Wisconsin statute section 60.62 sub 3, that approval is hereby granted for rezoning the following described parcel from the Farmland Preservation District to Residential A2 in accordance with the town of Ithaca zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that the zoning administrator shall send a copy of this resolution to the known clerk of the town of Ithaca, and that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passing publication. This is being offered to you by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on November 25th of 2024, and also noting that Supervisor Fleming is marked as for, but she was not present at that meeting.
Okay, for the resolution, I need a motion.
I'll move.
Motion to approve by Severson, seconded by Fleming. Discussion.
That's me, okay. So they are rezoning just a partial part of their big parcel where they built a new home, just to separate it out from the rest of the farmland. Really big.
Straightforward. Any questions on that?
Was there an acreage on it, Kathy? I'm just curious.
It says under the commencing part, it says parcel contains 2 acres. Is that what that's the complete sum?
Yeah, because that's our minimum in Ithaca,
Good.
2 acres.
Other questions? Are not all in favor of this resolution, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. Number 14, resolution approving the town of Ithaca's rezoning of a parcel belonging to Richland County Highway Department.
This will be resolution number 24-95, Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors in accordance with Wisconsin statute section 60.62 sub 3, that approval is hereby granted for rezoning the following described parcel from the Ag Residential District to Residential A2 District in accordance with the Town of Ithaca zoning ordinance. You have the legal description listed there before you. Be it further resolved that the zoning administrator shall send a copy of this resolution to the known clerk for the Town of Ithaca, and that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passing and publication. Once again, being offered to by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on November 25th of 2024, and to note that Supervisor Fleming was not present for this meeting.
It's a resolution. Looking for a motion. Motion by Williamson, second by Gill. Any discussion on this one?
This is where they're putting up the tower, the communication tower. It's up on the corner by Keithville Ridge Road and Highway N. Essentially, the county owned just a tiny parcel of land that was non-conforming. It wasn't enough to be zoned anything. There was a party that foreclosed, and when it went on auction block, the county pulled part of that to keep with their parcel and let the rest go to auction block. So it's kind of one of those things that you're all cleaning up to, where it's now enough to become a parcel. They wanted to put the tower, so now we have to zone it. It's about 2 acres again, just enough to put the tower, do their thing.
Any questions on this one? If there are no questions, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That resolution, thank you. Report on petitions for zoning amendments received since the last county board session.
Oh, because this is earlier, it's a little, we've got one for sure, and then we don't know. They have until 2 weeks before January 6th. So.
For that to our Natural Resources Committee. And report on rezoning petitions recommended for denial by the Natural Resources Standing Committee.
None.
Not at this time. Thank you. Then we'll continue on to item 17, reports and a county administrator update.
Okay, so we're kind of in full swing, getting ready for the end of the year at this point. There's a lot that has to happen with transitioning wage scales, 1095 reporting, 1099s, W-2s, building everything and getting ready to transition all that over. We've got a lot of the end of the year bills coming in, so very busy time in the administration office. Tyler is moving along as well. I think that it's getting exciting now because we're actually working through the general ledger pieces and starting to see how it's going to all work together, which I think is great. So that's coming. We are working through some collective bargaining with the sheriff's union. We met again today. That's going well. And the wage scale piece I'll talk to you all about in a minute. So with that, additionally, you all received my letter of resignation earlier this week. My last day with you will be January 8th. So this is my last meeting with all of you. And I just want to thank all of you for the support and the opportunity that you've given me here. So.
Questions for the administrators? Thank you for all the work you've done for us as well. This is new news, and so plans are still being put together as far as transition and stuff like that. We'll have updates for you in the future here. So, campus reconfiguration committee update. Learned anything new since last county board meeting? We had discussed and we're taking action on closing off services to the two back buildings that were in shape that it would be prohibitively expensive to fix or remodel them. While doing that, it was discovered that water shutoff valves actually leak. So we have to maintain some heat inside the janitor maintenance closet portions of those two buildings so pipes that are leaking don't freeze. They're leaking both inside in the water shutoff and apparently outside at the utility connection as well. So we may follow up with the city and see, okay, whose responsibility is what here, if it needs to be dug up and completely shut off. So that's still to be explored and determined. At the last board meeting, did you have the news about the school using the gym yet?
No. Yes, we we've been working with the school district to try to determine whether or not we could create an MOU and allow them to use the gym. We did have a call with our insurance carrier, and they have no issue with the school utilizing the gym. And so we will be working on engaging with them for an MOU so that they can utilize the gym for classes, because I know their gym space, especially this time of year, is pretty tough. So that's good news. There's no issues with that. The plan is to make sure that the locker rooms are completely locked and not used at all. And then the back area where the weight room and the garage is, that will also be locked. So they'll have access to those bathrooms in the lobby area there and the gymnasium. So, so that's really great news and a great way for us to partner with community partners. So.
And they have water.
Yes. Yes, Randy went out and made sure all of the facilities, the toilets, some of them were leaking. There were some things going on. He made sure that was all taken care of so that it's ready to go.
Wonderful.
Other than that, the committee has started the conversation with the consultants about space needs for the whole county, not just the campus. So we've had a first conversation about that, but haven't gotten much further than that yet. So when we get into discussions about those things, the committee will likely be coming back to the board, not just for guidance, but to look at, okay, what is our purpose here? Is there a purpose beyond just reconfiguring the campus? Are we talking about other county facilities and making sure that, you know, the board is giving us the direction that we should be working on? So, Mr. Woodhouse.
You said that there's two buildings that we're attempting to turn the water off. Would that be the classroom building and the science building?
It's the classroom building and the library.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have the detailed assessment reports posted on the county's website now, correct? So if anybody wants to go look at the, you know, there's 60, 70 page reports on each building. You can go look, and they've got pictures in all of them. The issues they identified in those two buildings add up to a lot.
Yeah.
You know, in the millions. So the recommendation was, unless you're willing to spend, you know, $4 or $5 million on a building to reconfigure, remodel, bring it all up to date, that there's not much you can do with it. The consequence is, once you make that decision that you're going to mothball it, you're pretty much writing it off. And so it was not a fun decision to make, but when we're spending, you know, in non-winter months, about 10,000 or more a month to keep those services on at those buildings, we're looking to see what we can do to minimize some of that ongoing cost.
Have there ever been interested parties in that land?
I'm guessing there are parties interested in the land. We hadn't opened it up for any specific proposals yet. We wanted to get our assessment of what the building's value were before, and obviously the news was not good about the condition of the building. So, you know, there had been talk of different things you could do with the property and the buildings and stuff, but in most of the facilities, it seems that, you know, they're going to be difficult to reuse at best. And in the case, particularly the two buildings in question here, prohibitively expensive to reuse or update. So we haven't gotten as far as going beyond getting ready here for winter. We still have contents of the buildings that will need to be dealt with. That'll probably be a springtime thing. And figure out what we do with all that stuff. People continue to approach us asking about contents, and we're not doing anything specific right now other than making sure that stuff that's in there that has any kind of value, we're doing our best to preserve and make sure it stays okay. The other buildings that we're not cutting heat off to are going to be maintained at 50 degrees, 50 or 45, somewhere in there, a temperature where it shouldn't damage anything, but we're not spending money to heat it up to 75 or anything. So,
Do you have any idea on a timeline when that will occur? What possibility?
difficult to say. Like I said, we're into looking at the county space needs right now, and some of the, in particularly the Melville Hall might have potential use for the county. So we'd want to look at that and evaluate if that's possible. And then, you know, we have the school district using the gym right now. It's been mentioned in the community that, okay, maybe there's more that could be done with that. So we'll take a look and explore that. Beyond that, no decisions at this point, and I'm not sure what to tell you for a timeline. There's a lot of information we still have to digest and figure out for the county's purposes what we need, what we realistically can do. So we'll keep, in January, there's gonna be another community meeting where they're talking about facilities and cooperation. We'll give an update to the whole community at that point as part of that meeting, so.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions for the reconfiguration committee? Mr. Manning, yes.
Just to help us with the decisions when it comes time. There were 5 of us that tore down the old pool. We donated our time and equipment at that time. So I contacted the same operators that they'd be willing to help do that if it comes to that.
Okay.
And I also contacted Robinson Brothers, which I've worked with in the past. They did the old Pine Valley, and they did Protract. And we'd be looking at about $6 a ton for pressure.
That's good to know. We're also trying to get some demolition stuff information from the consultants too, based on their expertise. They are 100% certain there's asbestos in the flooring in those buildings. In the library, it's all carpeted, but there's asbestos tile underneath it, and there's moisture coming up through the slab now. And so the flooring is in bad shape out there. And just add that to the list of stuff, I guess. But thank you for that. I appreciate it. Any other questions? Very well. Then let's move on to item 18, discussion and possible action, adoption of the new Richland County wage scale.
Resolution number 24-101. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval of the new Richland County wage scale is granted. Be further resolved that this resolution is effective upon the first payroll of 2025. This resolution is being offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee, which just met briefly before this meeting. So the resolution you have in your packet will not have that information on there as to how people voted because we just met. So.
You've heard the resolution. Do we have a motion?
Swings the moves.
Motion by Williamson, second by Frank. Any discussion, Kim?
Okay, so this is really, really exciting. So as you all know, through the budget process this year, you approved $804,064.98. That was the pool. That was 5% on top of regular wages to be utilized for implementation of the wage study. And from the beginning, we said, we don't know how far this will get us. We have to do the analysis. We have to really take a look at it. And the great news is that we will be able to put all part-time and full-time employees on the new wage scale. We were concerned that we would not be able to do everyone all at one time, that there would have to be a phased approach. And thankfully, we have built in a 3% cost of living and placement on the scale. And that total cost comes to $744,084. So that leaves us a little bit left for minor adjustments that may need to be made through the appeal process. Once the information on the blue sheet is not public yet. This is the recommendation of the consultant based on the PAQs and the evaluations that were done on what the employees submitted. So this is where everyone is going to be placed. Now, as I said, the department heads are evaluating this. We're picking out any last minute discrepancies. But it shouldn't be a significant departure from this. The money that we have will cover any of those minor adjustments. And that gets everyone on the scale this year. We will not be able to give a step increase this year with the initial placement, but placement, for some people it's 5%, for other people it's higher based on if they were underpaid or if they were paid where they should have been paid. But that will then yield a a step increase and COLA of January 1 of 2026, and they will address that through the budgeting process in the next budget cycle. So this is a huge win for our employees. It shows your dedication as a board to ensuring that we are now within the market in all realms. Questions?
Will employees start out at step 1?
No.
So there'll be some senior employees that may start out at a different step.
Correct.
And then like the new hire would start out at step 1 and then after 6 months.
Not after 6 months. So that's a great point, great point. So currently, because our scale was so far out of whack, we had people starting at step 3 and at step 6 on the Pine Valley scale. We had 2 scales. We had people starting on various steps. This is one scale for the entire county. So everybody's on one now. We don't have separates. And it's within the market, which then means that new employees are hired at step 1 and they move through the scale on an annual basis. Because we're within the market now, we don't need to give a step after 6 months for new employees because we're not trying to catch them up to where they should be. Our step 1 on this scale is the equivalent to the step 3 on the old scale. When we looked at the market, we weren't low on the starting wages in most cases because we were starting people at step 3 or at step 6. So we were starting them way up into the scale. Where we found that we were most low is on the top end. So that is why we added on to the end of the scale to make sure that we're within the market on the bottom and we're within the market on the top. Many of the step 1s here are actually about 100% of the market or above. So we're doing really well on those. So that'll draw people in. And what will help them to stay is the fact that we've also added on to that top end. So as far as placement goes, number will move. So, other questions?
Yeah, so minimum, it sounds like people are gonna get probably a 5% increase. Would that be accurate or because they're getting 3% COLA? And is everybody gonna get an increase or are some people not gonna get an increase?
Everybody's getting an increase because of the 3%. The placement on the scale varies based on where they're falling. Typically, what you'll see is if you were being paid well and you were being paid where you should have been, you might see, on your new step, it might be 25 cents on top of the 3%. But if you were severely underpaid, then it might be that 3% and you might have a $3 or a $4 difference because you've been underpaid for so long. So again, those who have been paid adequately are not going to see as much as those who have been severely underpaid, because this is how we're balancing those scales, right? And so that there's not a consistent, you couldn't say everybody's getting 5% because not everybody will.
But typically the lower end of the scale is gonna see the largest increases, would that be correct?
It depends. Nope, not really, because certain areas, certain job classifications were really right in where they should have been. Other ones, you know, ambulance service is one that they were severely under. We knew that going in. So that was a pretty significant increase. Some of our Pine Valley positions were significantly under. So
Well,
it
we have
varied.
all those people under $20 an hour, is that, they're all, we all $20.
Well, the ones that were under $20 an hour that should be over $20 an hour are now going to be at or over. But there are some still that we have that are intermittent part-time staff, lifeguarding staff. Obviously, we're not going to pay them $20 an hour. That's not what the rate is. But that's where these grades 1 through 4 are really, that encompasses a lot of those intermittent part-time employees or seasonal employees or things like that. That's where they're really encompassed. So that's kind of how that scale works. Mhm.
Any other questions?
My question would be, is there pretty universal acceptance among employees?
We haven't given this to the employees yet.
Okay,
And they have one more chance to appeal, but again, it's not to appeal the wage. Because they can't say, I don't like how much I'm getting paid, I think I should get paid more. Because again, the job description is where you derive your points. And we already have given them an opportunity to appeal that job description
they've been
once.
working through this.
Absolutely, the employees have been involved, the department heads have been involved, but that's why I did have the department heads look at the new placements for all their employees and say, are you seeing something that doesn't add up? Does something not make sense? And so they're emailing me those concerns. Those are gonna go back to Tessa and we're gonna clarify, verify, and tweak whatever we need to before we get those out to the employees, because we don't want to cause panic. This is already a touchy situation. We want to make sure when we tell them where they're placed, that we're darn certain that that's where they should be placed.
That's what I was gonna ask, is about the department head buy-in.
I have department heads over here. Ask them. I think they're happy.
Whether you're happy with the new wage? I agree. All supportive? Yes.
We have some that are off and Candace and I are working through those.
Yeah, see, there's a couple that I'm pushing, but by and large, the all of we good.
You're happy with it. I always see where we're at.
We had done a wage study in the past, for those who haven't been on the board for a long time. We had problems following through an implementation because we went through a couple of years where we told employees we couldn't afford to give them any increase. And once that got out of whack, we were in bad shape. So starting this off fresh is good. And as we enter into the 2026 budget process, we'll have to prove that we're good to our word to stick to it. Other questions, comments? All right, we have the resolution before us. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Resolution is adopted. Thank you. All right, we are on to item 19, ordinance approving amendments to the Richland County Sheriff's Office Ordinance number 89-7 relating to department staffing and hiring practices.
Okay, this will be ordinance number 24-33, and it's a rather long ordinance there in your packet. So the take-home message for this is that as you're looking at this, you're going to see comments on the side, but many of you will recall this is kind of a carryover from our codification of ordinances, and this was the ordinance we pulled out for further review. So it's my understanding that everything in italicized that you see will actually be removed, as that's the procedural component that's not going to be codified. And then everything else that is not italicized is what will then be sent to the code folks and be codified into the new code of ordinances. I explained that correct, right? Yes.
We have the ordinance before us. Do we have a motion? Motion by Manning, second by Cosgrove. Discussion.
So the discussion piece of this, if I may, you knew I was going to do this. So thank you. This document is finally coming together. It needed a lot of work. The italicized section will become policy. It will not become part of the ordinance. It'll be the hiring policy for the county. That's why those two pieces are going to be separated. The original document melded them together. We separated it. Because if we kept it in the same documents, we could understand it. That will be separated. The italics parts will become a hiring policy, where this is the ordinance. The ordinance is required to identify the number of employees in the sheriff's department, the number of positions, and some of those things. I would ask for, if you look at the document, there is one commented section. It is on, I don't see page numbers on here. The commented section, it's MW2. Should the preceding section simply mirror this language, and the recommendation is pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 59.268A, the BOS shall fix the number of positions by ordinance as needed from time to time. I think that's a good clarification. And I think that's simply just a change we could make right here. It would just simply drop into that. Attorney Wendell, you have comments on that?
I'm MW, so that is my comment.
That's what I thought, so I had to make sure. And that just identifies the statute that gives the authority, that piece of it. So other than that,
I need an amendment to put that in.
A friendly amendment. Okay, that's part of it.
and I have talked to the sheriff about that. We've looked it over, and I think this is good to go. So thank you.
Okay. So do we have a friendly amendment to add that language before we address the passing of the ordinance?
Williamson, so moved.
Motion by Williamson, second by Cosgrove, third by Frank. To add in the commented language, make it formally part of what we're passing here. So any discussion on that change? All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, so the ordinance as amended. Any questions on that? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance is adopted.
2.5 years.
What are you complaining about? All right, that brings us to item number 20, a resolution approving the 2025 land information grant.
Okay, this will be resolution number 24-96. Therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county is approved for applying and accepting the 2025 Wisconsin Land Information Program grant in the amount of up to $99,368 with no county match being required for the grant. For the grant funds to be spent in accordance with the terms of the grant, and for the county conservationist, Ms. Kathy Cooper, is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county any documents needed to carry out this resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passing publication, is being offered to you by the Natural Resources Standing Committee on November 25, 2024.
Okay, you've heard the resolution. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Gill. Second by Mr. Carroll. And discussion.
This is an annual grant. Grant amount changes from year to year. And it's basically to keep modernizing our land records information. The council, Land Information Council is meeting next Monday to finalize exactly the 78,000 part of it, how much we're gonna ask for in each category. But most of it, a lot of it's going for parcel mapping, being a parcel maps of data online. And I'm gonna do some LiDAR enhancements. We have the, I don't want to explain LiDAR, it's very complicated, but it shows the contours of land and then doing some, we have counties responsible for 8 dams, and 3 out of the 8 have had their dam shadows mapped, and we want to map the other 5. So that's mostly what the money is going for.
Okay. Any questions? It's all in favor of approving the resolution, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item 21, a resolution approving an amendment to a 2024 provider contract with the Human Services Department.
Resolution number 24-97. Therefore be resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the approval is hereby granted for amendments to the following contract with Mazo Catering of Mesa, Maine, Wisconsin, with the original contract being for $140,000, amended to $155,000, due to an increase in meals served through the senior nutrition program by Richland County Health and Human Services. Be it further resolved that the Director of the Health and Human Services Department, Ms. Tricia Clements, is hereby authorized to sign the above contracts on behalf of Richland County in accordance with this resolution. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This is being offered to you by the county board members of the Community Health Services Standing Committee on December 5 of 2024.
The resolution, do we have a motion? Motion by Kramer, second by Brewer. And Trish.
So this is a contract for our senior nutrition program. Just want to let you know that from the 22 to 23 and then 23 to 24 year, we served an additional 889 meals. So that is why we need additional funds.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The resolution is adopted. Thank you. Item 22, pardon me, a resolution approving provider contracts for 2025 for the Health and Human Services Department.
This will be resolution number 24-98. You will see a list of contracts, provider contracts for 2025 listed there. I will not read them all. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted to the Community Health Services Standing Committee to enter into the following provider contracts for 2025. Be further resolved that the Director of the Health and Human Services Department, Ms. Tricia Clements, is hereby authorized to sign the above contracts on behalf of Richland County in accordance with the resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passing and publication. This is being offered to you by the county board members of the Community and Health Services Standing Committee on December 5 of 2024.
Resolution, motion by Kramer, second by Harwick. And discussion. Many of the names on here look familiar.
Yeah, many of them are exactly the same. There will be more that will come next month, but these are the ones that we have ready and together. And through the new procurement policy, anything over 100,000 that is in or outside of the budget does have to come to you guys.
Anybody have a question on?
I have just a
Mr.
comment,
Brewer.
rather than doing these all individually, this is the way it's working.
Absolutely.
One question.
Yes, Ms. Fleming, go ahead.
Basil Catering, you have 160,000 on here, but the previous resolution we just passed was 155,000.
Yes.
Is that a typo or is that up to that amount or what is?
It'll be up to 160 for next year.
Okay.
So we do expect that there's a little bit of an increase in cost. I think it's a quarter per meal for next year. So we did try to move that.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Right now, item 23, a resolution awarding opioid settlement funds.
This would be resolution number 24-99. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the Richland County Department of Health and Human Services is hereby authorized to award opioid settlement fund grants to the following. Richland County Treatment Court in the amount of $15,000 for continuing education expenses for members of the treatment court team to be used by December 31 of 2025. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passing and publication. And this is being offered to you by the county board members of the Community and Health Services Standing Committee on December 5 of 2024.
For the resolution, do I have a motion? Motion by Brookins. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Manning. In discussion. Yes, Mr. Gill.
I'm questioning why we have three of our members that are voting against this.
Well, we have three of them that voted against it here in the room with us, so I'll ask them to weigh in, please.
I voted against this because in any form, I believe that sending 10 people to Florida is, well, we just don't do that. I know the money is there to use, but why not send 3 people and have them train the other 7? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. And I think it's bad to set the precedent in the county for other departments, perhaps want to take similar trips in the future, out-of-state trips.
Where specifically is that here?
where that's asked for? Well, it doesn't say that.
It's not in the resolution.
It is.
Oh, it is.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Second whereas, okay. Yes. Do you have any extra?
Yeah, so I can give a little history on this. Back in November, the treatment court team came to our committee and requested up to $30,000 to send the whole team to Florida for the national convention. At the November meeting, there were lots of questions, and the spokesperson for the team was asked to come back in December and have questions answered. When they came back in December, they really felt that it was necessary for all 10 of the team to come or to attend the conference in Florida. The suggestion was presented, as Marty was sharing, to send a couple and then have them come back and report. They really felt that they wanted it to be an all or nothing. They really wanted the whole team to be able to attend. In the end, they did have to leave to go to treatment court. There was additional discussion, and the motion was to give them $15,000 in continuing education, and they could do whatever they wanted with that $15,000, pending it was for continuing education. Whether it be that they use other funds to try to supplement and send over 10, whether they just send a couple, whether it be that they do something else. But it really was, we want to give you something out of these funds, but the committee as a whole was not comfortable sending 10. There are community members on the committee, and those aren't reflected. That's why the vote.
But it was like a 4-3 or 5-4 vote, wasn't it? It was very close.
3 of the 10 people are county employees.
Oh, that are going.
That are going.
Correct.
Supervisor Kramer, do you have any additional discussion you want?
I agree with Marty, and I don't believe in sending all 10. Even with state conferences, you can send 1 or 2 and have them come back and brief the other team members. Never have we ever sent 10 at the same time to anything. And to be quite honest with you, every state, every county, every township does things differently. So I can't see the advantage of sending 10 people to Florida and maybe not learning anything about smaller counties and what they do. I believe if they have questions like that, they can go to their state conference and ask the questions, and let the state trainers find the answers for them. So I voted against it because it was a amount of money. Wasn't happy with the $15,000 given to them either. I was hoping that they would come back with maybe sending 1 or 2, but that wasn't the case. So the $15,000 was half of what they're asking for, and they can decide as a team what they want to do.
But understand, $15,000 isn't going to send 10 people to Florida.
Right.
That's just the expenses that we perceive could be attributed to county employees only. The bulk of the money, the big dollars, I think, wasn't it 150,000 or? To be part of the opioid.
Well, the total opioid grant is that amount, and they were
Yeah.
looking for some funding from that resolution before us, and for 15,000 of that grant to support their training. And the way the resolution is worded, it could be any kind of ongoing education, not just Florida trip, but it wouldn't eliminate the Florida trip as a possibility either.
So, I mean, are we being dumb to say, no, we don't want to use this money to educate these people?
I want to go to Supervisor Harwick. You also voted against this.
Multiple questions and concerns. The $30,000 obviously was the first. I feel that there could, the funds could be used for training more locally. I mean, I know they went to state, but I'm assuming there's got to be more training that is local. We're not spending for 10 flights, et cetera, et cetera. I did ask about an agenda. I was curious, like what would they be learning? What is the training? Kind of got a little bit of a defensive answer on that because I asked training versus networking, you know, what is the balance? Also like who's covering for the 3 county employees that would be missing for that conference. So there was quite a few things that just wasn't sitting right.
Thank you for sharing. Other board members have questions or comments? Okay, Mr. Carroll first.
Does that mean the way it's now worded, that you guys would be okay with it the way it's worded now?
Well,
Well, they voted no on it.
Against the correct word.
Mr. Engel.
I just want to play devil's advocate for a minute and ask, is there any compelling reason for 10 people?
They said because they're one unit and they all want to learn together. You know, I understand that. That's pretty much what I got.
I asked if any part of it would be virtual.
I asked that also.
Yeah, and the answer was no.
Mr. Severs.
3 are county employees. What's the mix of the other ones? What are their roles?
So the team is made up of probation and parole, district attorney's office, along, so it'd be Jennifer Harper, and then the victim witness coordinator, public defender's office, community therapists.
The judge.
The judge.
Sheriff's office employee.
Yep, sheriff's office, our department. I think that covers
Police
everything.
department.
Oh, city police department.
So it's more than 3 of your department employees are going, but this could be possible, more county employees are.
It's one from my department. There's several members on the team, but they had it set up that only one from my department would be going. And then one from the sheriff's office, and then one from the district attorney's office.
That makes it
Those are the 3. Yes.
But this is grant funding they're applying for, so it could be applied to all the people attending. Yes.
But that wouldn't cover their wages. Their wages would be covered out of normal tax levy dollars.
It's just travel and.
It's just travel and conference expenses, yes, to be clear.
Other questions? Yes, Ms. Fleming.
Is it possible for that amount of people to have someone come in and do training for all of them? Because that's what they're looking for, is to be trained all at once. Because for $30,000, you could have a company come in and do whatever training here on site.
I would assume yes, and I know they have done that in the past where they've had, through the treatment court grant that we received, they have had presenters come in and give education and training to them.
Other questions?
We did ask if next year, where would the national conference be? And I believe they said
Nashville.
Nashville. So it's a little closer, but still.
Other questions or comments? So we have a resolution before us. Vote yes or no on it. If anyone wanted to amend the resolution before we voted on it, you could make a motion to amend it. Any further discussion? So the resolution is to provide them $15,000 for the provision of continuing education to be used by December 31st, 2025. All those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
No. Would anybody like a roll call vote? Yeah, okay, let's do a roll call for period.
Just so I'm clear, is 15,000 for that committee? That's what we're voting on.
We're voting on the 15,000 number, yes. For the,
Everyone in the 30.
And it's from the grant money.
yeah, from 15,000 from the grant money.
We're getting this grant, opioid grant. Money.
Yep.
And comes to the county, so it's not our tax.
But it would be with the employees that.
Well, I mean, it would be for.
So would we lose this grant?
No, the grant money sits there for other, we approved some of it for treatment court incentives at our last meeting. So there are other purposes it could be used for.
Remember, you voted to make it a grant structure. Really, they were just settlement funds that came in from the opioid losses.
And when we approved that, Chairman Kirk,
who has the final say on how the grant money is divvied
The process we set up says it has to come to us, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, and that's what we're in the process of doing.
Correct. We have a request for those funds and we're debating whether we're gonna grant that request or not.
I'd like to rescind my approval of that, I guess. I know I got to approve it and.
Well, you made the motion to bring it on the floor, so.
We're doing a roll call vote.
Yes, we're doing a roll.
Right. Okay, so Brewer,
No.
Kramer,
No.
McKee,
Yes.
Engel,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Manning, Gill,
No.
Glassburn, Harwick,
No.
Woodhouse,
Yes.
Turk,
No.
Cosgrove, Frank,
No.
Severson,
No.
Williamson,
No.
who is absent, Fleming,
No.
Perkins,
Yes.
McGuire is absent, Carroll,
No.
and Miller is absent. So we have 5 yes and 12 no.
Motion is defeated. So. Item 24 on our agenda is resolution establishing a policy for the expenditure of remaining funds from the American Rescue Plan Act funds.
This will be resolution number 24-100. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund established under the American Rescue Plan Act, referred to as ARPA funds policy, is hereby adopted. Be it further resolved that a copy of this policy shall be made available in the Richland County Administrator's office and on the Richland County website. And be it further resolved that the expenditures regarding equipment purchase and contract expenditures are approved by the adoption of this policy, as long as the expenditures used on the desired purpose by resolution within the apportioned amount authorized by the policy or amended by the Finance and Personnel Committee. That should be amended to say Executive and Finance Standing Committee. No additional resolution is required by the county board. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passing publication and is being offered to you by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on December 6th of 2024.
For the resolution, have a motion. Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Carroll. And discussion.
This resolution is to obligate the remaining ARPA funds. If you look up here, it's requesting us to obligate, not just appropriate. Last time that we appropriated the funds, that government is actually to obligate them, and that is actually have a contract behind the funds for the remaining balance. So we have to obligate the remaining balance of our ARPA funds by the end of the year, or we have to pay them back. We have to obligate them by the end of the year, and we have to spend them by the end of 2026. So this is basically, this resolution obligates them. And if you look at total balance, it's basically $835,000. That's what we have left of the ARPA funds. We still have left of the ARPA. And if you look up there, about $885,000, that leaves us about $549,000 of net balance left of our ARPA funds. That's the original ARPA funds. And then I added the interest earned on those ARPA funds, 196. That leaves us about $746,000 that we totally have to obligate. So we were looking for something to obligate, and we decided to obligate on the highway old project. We have about $1.6 million that we have spent on the highway old project. We decided to obligate that $760 or $746,000 in the highway old project up to the extent of $800,000. So we had to get contracts in place with the highway old project.
So use it or lose it, and this is a way to use it, so we don't lose it.
And, you know, for this project, they're expending a lot of money up front that either doesn't have a reimbursement or the reimbursement won't come back in until much later. And so it's really hitting highways bottom line. So this is a way to offset that cost and still get that project done without impacting the bottom line and the other projects that we want to make sure we're doing within the county. Josh, anything to add?
You pretty much nailed it.
Questions on this? There are no questions, then all in favor of the resolution, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Resolution is adopted. Item 25, correspondence.
Nothing for you, Mr. Chair, to report officially, but also remember, with your per diems for the month of December, we'll have one more payroll, so those need to be no later than next Wednesday, I believe is the deadline. So if you have, we had the first payout in December for November ones, but we have 2 payrolls in December, so all of your per diems need to come back to me very quickly. If any questions, let me know, but that is the cutoff for the December payroll.
Future agenda items.
I think a current one, I just want to recognize Larry and thank him for his terrific service. And, appreciate what you've done here. And
Will be missed, Larry. Any other future agenda items?
I'd like to recognize, and that's it for this year's work she's done for us. Bringing us into the 21st century. Kicking and screaming sometimes.
The committee on committee question, we have a vacant member on the committee on committees yet?
Yes,
That was gonna come up.
thank you for bringing that up. I forgot to mention that. We do have a vacancy on the committee on committees. That is a committee that is elected by the county board. So at our next meeting in January, we will be voting to elect a replacement member to the committee on committees. Thank you. Right. Otherwise, if there are no other future agenda items, Mr. Manning makes a motion to adjourn, second by Fleming. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You're adjourned. Thank you.